In this chapter, we're going to focus on the following 10 keywords: stalemate, insubordinate, constituent, shirk, ratify, beneficiary, imposter, massive, sullen, and clutter. Let's start with the first keyword, stalemate. In the picture, we have two chess pieces, the two knights, and they are facing each other, and it seems like nobody's winning this game. Now, obviously, we're not talking about the rules of chess here because that doesn't work this way. But the idea is that both sides are not winning and they came to a place where nobody can actually win. Could that be the meaning of stalemate, and does it relate to things other than chess? Let's find out. Now, stalemate is a variable noun. A stalemate is a situation in which neither side in an argument or contest can win, or in which no progress is possible. For example, he said the war had reached a stalemate and that a political accord was the only solution. The war had reached a stalemate, that means they reached a point where nobody could win and no progress was possible. So they had to find a different solution. And synonyms for stalemate are the words deadlock, draw, tie, and impasse. And of course, stalemate comes from chess. And in chess, stalemate is a position in which a player cannot make any move which is allowed by the rules, so that the game ends and no one wins. So the next time you remember those two chess pieces, remember the word stalemate and what it means. And now for the next keyword, insubordinate. Now you look at the picture, we have this lovely girl, but when you look at this girl, the first thing that comes to mind that this is not exactly the girls that would do whatever you tell her. But does that mean she is insubordinate? Is that related to the picture we have here? Let's find out. Insubordinate is an adjective. If you say that someone is insubordinate, you mean that they do not obey someone of higher rank. Obviously, it does not exactly apply on the girl, but you get the idea. For example, in industry, a worker who is grossly insubordinate is threatened with discharge. Now, if a worker is insubordinate, a worker does not obey someone of higher rank, can be fired. And synonyms for insubordinate are the words disobedient, defiant, rebellious, and disorderly. So the next time you remember the picture of this lovely young girl, remember the word insubordinate and what it means. And now for the next keyword, constituent. Now you look at this picture and you can see we have ingredients for some kind of dish. So can we say that ingredients is similar to the word constituent? Let's find out. A constituent is a countable noun. A constituent is someone who lives in a particular constituency, especially someone who is able to vote in an election. And constituent can come in a different context. A constituent of a mixture, substance, or system is one of the things from which it is formed. So maybe that is a little bit closer to the picture we just saw. For example, caffeine is the active constituent of drinks such as tea and coffee. And synonyms for constituent in this context are the words component, element, ingredient, and part. And constituent can also be used as an adjective. The constituent parts of something are the things from which it is formed. For example, a plan to split the company into its constituent parts and sell them separately. And synonyms for constituent as an adjective are the words component, basic, essential, and integral. So the next time you remember this picture of all those ingredients, remember the word constituent and what it means. And now for the next keyword, shirk. Now you look at this picture and you can see it is fencing or fighting with swords, but as a sport we call this fencing. But the thing we care about is we want to focus on the way the player to the left is attacking the player to the right and how the player to the right is avoiding being hit by the other player. How does that relate to the word shirk? Does it have to do with the sport in the first place, or does it have to do with the idea of avoiding something? Let's find out. A shirk is a verb. If someone does not shirk their responsibility or duty, they do what they have a responsibility to do. For example, the government will not shirk from considering the need for further action. They will not run away from their responsibility. And synonyms for shirk are the words dodge, avoid, evade, and get out of. And shirker is the countable noun from shirk. For example, they know I'm not a shirker. I'm not a person who evades his responsibility. I'm a responsible person. And synonyms for shirker are the words slacker or dodger. So the next time you remember this picture, remember the word shirk and what it means. And now for the next keyword, ratify. Now you look at the picture and we can see there is a document and there is a stamp and it says approved. Now, if you think about this document without the stamp, whatever the document is about, it means nothing if it is not stamped and approved. And sometimes, of course, signed as well. So here, how does that relate to the word ratify? Does it have to do with documents or does it have to do with approving documents and making them official? Let's find out. Ratify is a verb. When national leaders or organizations ratify a treaty or written agreement, they make it official by giving their formal approval to it, usually by signing it or voting for it. For example, the parliaments of Australia and Indonesia have yet to ratify the treaty. They have a treaty, but it's still not ratified. It's still not approved. And synonyms for ratify are the words approve, sign, establish, and confirm. So the next time you remember this picture of the document and the stamp, remember the word ratify and what it means. And now for the next keyword, beneficiary. Now you look at the picture, we can see the lady very happy as she is about to receive the car keys. So if we try to relate this to the word we have here, beneficiary, do you think beneficiary has to do with cars, with receiving something, or does it have to do with being the part that benefits from something? Let's find out. Now, beneficiary is a countable noun. Someone who is a beneficiary of something is helped by it. For example, there were many beneficiaries of this dramatic shift in Western policies. There were many people that were helped by this dramatic shift. And synonyms for beneficiary are the words recipient, receiver, payee, and assignee. And beneficiary can be used in a different context. The beneficiaries of a will are legally entitled to receive money or property from someone when that person dies. So the next time you remember the picture of the lady and the car keys, remember the word beneficiary and what it means. And now for the next keyword, imposter. Now you look at this picture and we have these young girls and they are trying to look like somebody else, which is a funny picture, of course. But what we are trying to do here is to find how that relates to the word imposter. Does it relate to the idea of disguising as somebody else or trying to look like somebody else? Let's find out. Now, imposter is a countable noun. Someone who is an imposter is dishonestly pretending to be someone else in order to gain an advantage. Well, obviously the picture was just made to be fun. It's not that serious, but imposter is. For example, he was an imposter who masqueraded as a doctor. And that is a serious issue. He pretended to be a doctor to gain some advantage, whatever that advantage might be, but this is definitely dishonest and illegal, of course. And synonyms for imposter are the words fraud, cheat, fake, and impersonator. So the next time you remember these lovely girls with their disguise, remember the word imposter and what it means. And now for the next keyword, massive. Now, if you look at the picture, you can see this man looking around in this big building. But it is the parking lot of the building, but it is huge. So do you think that huge or big relates to the word massive? Let's find out. A massive is an adjective. And something that is massive is very large in size, quantity, or extent. And we use this word to emphasize the greatness of something. For example, we say there was evidence of massive fraud, very big, great fraud. Or we can say the scale of the problem is massive, is very big. And synonyms for massive are the words huge, great, big, and heavy. And we can say massively as an adverb. For example, a massively popular game. So the next time you remember the picture of this man in this huge parking lot, remember the word massive and what it means. And now for the next key word, sullen. Now if you look at this picture, there's something wrong with this guy. Maybe he seems sad or angry or somewhere in between. Somewhere between sad and angry would be bad-tempered perhaps. And he doesn't look like a friendly person, so maybe he wouldn't be your first option to go and talk to. But does that mean he is sullen? What does sullen mean? Let's find out. Now, sullen is an adjective, and someone who is sullen is bad-tempered and does not speak much. Well, maybe that relates to the picture we just saw. For example, many of them remain sullen and resentful. The synonyms for sullen are morose, cross, moody, and sour. And we can use sullenly as an adverb. For example, I've never seen it before. Harry said sullenly. Didn't say it in the best way possible, if you can imagine. So the next time you remember the picture of this man, remember the word sullen and what it means. And now for the last key word for this chapter, clutter. Now, if you look at this desk, you can see right away that there are a lot of problems involved in this desk. Well, the first problem is that the man is sleeping under his desk. But there is another problem, of course, on the desk and next to the desk and on the chair. You have stuff everywhere. And obviously they are not organized. They are everywhere, and this is not a good way to get anything done. This man is simply not organized. But how does that relate to clutter? Does it have to do with the idea of the mess we have on this desk? Or does it have to do with the man himself? Let's find out. Now, clutter is an uncountable noun. Clutter is a lot of things in an untidy state, especially things that are not useful or necessary. For example, Caroline prefers her worktops to be clear of clutter. She is an organized person. She doesn't like to see clutter anywhere. Those too many things put around, and she cannot figure out where the things she needs are. And synonyms for clutter are the words untidiness, mess, disorder, and confusion. And clutter can also be used as a verb. If things or people clutter a place, they fill it in an untidy way. For example, empty soft drink cans clutter the desks. We can use clutter up with the same meaning of clutter. For example, the vehicles cluttered up the car park. We can use cluttered as an adjective. For example, a sad, dirty, cluttered room filled with the evidence of a sloppy man. And synonyms for cluttered are the words untidy, confused, disordered, and littered. So the next time you remember the picture of this desk with the man sleeping under it, remember the word clutter and what it means. And that's all for this chapter.